Welcome back, my people. So every 28th May now World Hunger Day. They say the theme for this year is sowing resilience, and in they talk about the connection between hunger and climate change. We try to talk about the importance of investing in farmers where we build more resilient food systems. Now 28th now the day where we recognize all the efforts where people don't they make to achieve zero hunger across the world. We get Ubonge person for show today, the founder and executive director of Lagos Food Bank Initiative, Michael Sunbola. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
So we get Food Bank Initiative.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
For Lagos.
Of course.
I bet Gistos. How would I want to celebrate this year's World Hunger Day?
So for us, everyday celebration, because our intervention is not seasonal.
Sorry, you're not supposed to speak pidgin.
I will try to mix it.
Yeah,
let me settle into the let me settle into the program where I'm to switch. So basically, it's something that is more of it's an everyday intervention for us. It's not seasonal. It's the problem of hunger is very endemic in our society.
Okay.
And for us, if we want to tackle the problem of hunger, it's something that has to be constant. It must have an impact. It's not something that we just do for a celebration. But I'm coming from the point of view of the World Hunger Day. Is a day that is set aside to beam that spotlight on the problem of hunger and some of the systemic dysfunction in our food systems, and more like a call to action for everybody to just wake up and let's address this problem head on and see how we can bring relief to the most vulnerable members of our society, basically. So that's what the whole World Hunger Day is about. We also have the World Food Day, but World Hunger Day specifically focuses on that plight that the vulnerable members of the society is going through, and what are the interventions, what steps are we taking to address some of these problems, and how can we bring relief to the most vulnerable members of our society that are not carried along in these all changes that are happening in our society, basically.
Okay, but before I come to the ladies, you get topic where we talk finish, where I go like me chook mat put, because me self they suspect say one of the things we carry us enter this place now, the fact that many people struggle to even make ends meet and they no see, and many of them no fit handle the pressures of life. They could just find outlets where they go take just relieve their pain, escape from waiting that they feel. They go come fall into drugs, and when you take and you can't, they're addicted. Now you can't begin thief, begin do different things just to make sure say you get that stuff.
No money to even chop.
No
you don't use money to buy drugs.
Use the money to buy drugs. Then they do the drug, then they even see food they chop. So what do you think about this drug epidemic, especially among our youths?
So for the drug issue, my own point of view basically is, and maybe from what I've experienced, not personally now, but the kind of work we do in the society, and the fact that we work in a lot of slums and informal settlements. A major driver for drug abuse amongst the youth is what I can see more like hopelessness. The inability to see the future. Some of them go into this old drug thing because they just want to forget their pains and sorrows. Peer pressure is there, unemployment, and the fact that even I was listening to this conversation, and I think you've dissected almost most of the. You talked about even dysfunctional family environment and some of these things that could, be a driver, right? But the most important thing we should just bear in mind is that we have a whole lot of work to do. It's the old drug problem is staring at us like it's worse now. Like it's as if there's now some form of social acceptance, and a lot of what's it called now? A lot of our youths who are also, either following one celebrity or the other, they kind of have a way of passing this message across that, this is showbiz and you have to do this too. And there's a social acceptance coming with this, and that we have to really be conscious of, because they believe that for them to be like this person, they have to do what this person is doing. So they have so much influence on the youth. So we have to look at that, and the sublime message it passes to young people and the fact that we just need to, invest more in our youth, empower the youth more, and continue with that orientation, that social orientation, national orientation. We're talking about name shaming and and all of that. All those things should come back and let people see the consequences, the very severe consequences that comes with this. It's not just a health issue. It's an economic issue. It's a psychological issue that we need to address. Even in fact, it declares a state of emergency on as a nation.
Okay,
basically.
So make we talk about hunger, right?
Okay, yeah.
For inside Niger and climate change. Say many of us for inside this country, when we hear climate change, in terms of say how our weather they take change, in terms of activities of man, how they distort or scatter everything as it's supposed to be for inside our ecosystem. Many of us for Nigeria, the first thing when they come to our mind when we hear climate change, as it affects us for Nigeria, we say, okay, climate change, maybe not only flooding. Not only flooding be the issue where we they get when we talk about climate change, and maybe waste management somehow. But really, look, we paint the picture well as it be for our country. What we mean when we say climate don't they change for inside Nigeria, and how will they really affect hunger or the availability of food or lack thereof?
So the problem of climate change still seems a bit vague to a lot of us, even to a lot of people. Even
big English.
It'd be like something that we can't relate with yet, right? But it's happening. Even the president of the United States once said that it's a hoax, like it's not real, But the point is, it's real, because there are a lot of drivers of climate change, and what we would see naturally, we could determine when rain will fall before. We could determine when is dry season, when is harmattan, and some of those things are changing. Some of those weather patterns are changing, and nobody's saying anything about it, right? And the point is that it's affecting when farmers get to plant, when they expect rainfall, and when they can't predict some of these, weather patterns, and it affects, it affects yield, it affects production, it affects food production and food prices, basically. I'm saying that a whole lot of our farmers, our smallholder farmers, would depend on the rainfall and not the artificial irrigation, but rainfall, basically, to plant. So it kind of affects food production. And another thing that I think we should look at that is a major driver of climate change is food waste, right? I think we can bring that closer home in the sense that some of the food, in fact, the analysis that was done in terms of the amount of food that is wasted in Nigeria, in terms of money, annually, it was $7 billion annually before it became $9 billion annually. And the thing is that is not even the sad part. The sad part is that the fact that millions of people are hungry, in the midst of this wastage, actually makes it sad, because why should food be going to waste when people can barely feed, right? So, and that is where the work that we do comes in the sense that we then identify some of these areas where a lot of wastages are happening, and then we see how we can either work with farmers to prevent post-harvest losses by going with our refrigerated our freezer truck to bring in those food and then store it in a cold room, redistribute them, work with food supply chain processing companies to also get food from them. What would have been discarded, right? Not because they are not edible, they are still edible, but because maybe it has some kind of in terms of defect in the way the can is or the way it is, and probably it might not just fit for that distance, but it's still edible. In terms of edible, it's still edible and very safe for consumption. So they are able to channel some of these products to us. We also get to, and they give us a timeline, and we work within those timelines to get them distributed, because our own work is that we have been able to build that infrastructure in terms of the number of volunteers that we have, about 30,000 of them. If we want to have a food distribution across several communities within few days, we could do that with the system that has been built already. So food waste is a major driver of climate change, because some of this food gets landed and goes into landfills that produce one of the most toxic gas emission, which they call methane, and is a major driver of climate change. So our household, some of the food we throw away, it's a contributor to climate change, and it's affecting us. It's a global issue that I think we have to really pay a lot of attention on, and it's real. It's not a hoax. It is actually real.
In the partner with Minister of Agriculture based on fact say infrastructure supposed day. Now you talk about freezer to store food
Storage
and all,
facility.
storage facility and all
yeah.
that. But I know say some things like dry foods, like maybe dry tomatoes, especially when it is scarce, so you go dey able to get them available. Basically, you dey partner with the Ministry of Agriculture. Then they support you. Then secondly, how you want to determine the people who really need this food bank, this initiative.
Okay, so in terms of the partnership with some of the established systems of the government, yes, so of course, we've done one or two things with the Ministry of Agriculture, Lagos State. They, of course, support in some way with facilitation and all of that, and even seedlings for our backyard farming program. But the Lagos Food Bank is more private sector driven, corporate individuals are more of private sector driven. But we work, of course, very well with the government, but more like 90% private sector driven. So in terms of determining how we get to identify the beneficiaries of the food bank. So in a country where maybe say like about over 60% are multidimensionally poor, we could see that a number of people might fall into that net of those that need the food, right? And we probably might not have as much resources, of course, to cater for those people. So what we've done now is to identify those at the bottom of the cadre, in the sense that we work with our volunteers to profile families in about 170 communities currently. And what we do, we determine their income. Some of them earn as little as 10K per month. Yes, some sell, some of these very petty traders. We also look at their age in terms of, we focus more on those above the age of 50 who might be senile, who might probably not have the strength, to make ends meet for themselves. We look at, widows that are also aged. So we kind of focus more on a particular demography of the country because of meager resources. Basically, I want to make sure that, because we know that women are good custodians of resources, food and everything, so we focus more on women. And if we are doing men, we do more of those maybe physically challenged, visually impaired, and all of that. So, but women constitute like 90% of the beneficiaries of this intervention. So, and that is how we're able to streamline the beneficiaries. And when we work with corporates and even volunteers who are all Nigerians, they all see and connect to the fact that we're actually making an impact by the type of people that we give the items to, and it is based on the merit, no favoritism. No, I know somebody there, go and meet them and collect some boxes or this thing. No connection, nothing like that. It is pure, people call in, we ask, and if they fit into that profile, they get registered and they get called upon. No stampede, no problem, no issues. We've done thousands, and we have that reputation for seamless distribution. Basically.
I think, first of all, I'd like to commend you because one of my girls in the house, one of my daughters, she's actually a volunteer. Oh, yes. She made me know Lagos Food Bank because there was one day randomly, she was like, "Mommy, but you at home now, let's go now." I said, "No, celebrity no, they go outside, they invite us." Now, I just take her aside, where I know that she has the t-shirt, she goes to Lagos Food Bank. That one I know particularly. But is there any way you also enlighten awareness, encourages people as regards family optioning? Because yes, fingers are not equal. You find out that it's particular, because it pains me so much that the oga inside have 2 children. The megad in the boys' quarter have 11 children, and they will come and saddle you with the responsibility of hunger. So please, how do you also preach awareness and preach certain holding up?
You have just a minute to respond to that. We get to go.
Okay, so in terms of this awareness, we have a couple of volunteers who, of course, while beneficiaries are waiting to get their food boxes, they get to talk to them and enlighten them on the challenges of at least having so many children that probably they might have issues catering for. But in this case, we also need to probably look at the strength that comes with having a huge population as well. Hopefully, it will yield with time, right? But I think it's a major strength that we can also leverage on and build this economy. We are blessed with a handful of population that if we channel our energy well enough, something great could come out of it. I believe so.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Michael Sunbola, the founder and executive director of Lagos Food Bank Initiative. As you go on, tell us now in plain and sweet English.
Not be smart, you know. one picture they go for your mouth.
How the Food Bank Initiative they go, but thank you. We see what
Thank
Lagos State they do. We they pray every day, say other states go take a cue from waiting
very
they happen
important.
to take develop their own states in all
different
ramifications.
areas. Yes.
My ladies, when I thank you.
Thank you too.
They say make we test for Wolu say it's a community high school. Say they no get table, they no get chair, the window, roof, everything.
Now
That's
I'm like Monday.
Minister for Education. Make we just remind them.
We get to go. But thank you, ladies, for all the contribution. And I hope say people outside there they don't learn one or two things where we don't talk about. Now here we go cut out for our Tori them today. I hope so you enjoy the show as we take enjoy them too. We will see you again. Your view English on Monday. Make you enjoy the rest of our weekend.
Make una do jeje o.